Chapter 7. I think Jen is beginning to suspect something. When I dropped her home the other night, she lingered as I kissed her, her face tilted up towards mine like a question, unasked. I don't know how to answer it. I'm hoping that with these social events booked in, it will give me time to figure out what I'm doing. What am I doing? With work, I have a long to-do list, but I feel confident in my ability to complete each task. I'm on safe ground. In this relationship, I'm hopping across landmine territory. Something might blow up at any moment. I've never done this before. I always looked at my friends with girlfriends and thought, no thanks. Sure, the beginning always seemed fun and attractive, but it never seemed long before there were flurries of text messages, agonised phone calls, slamming doors, stony silences, and then the pain of heartbreak. If I'm honest, I congratulated myself that I avoided this messy process. I focused on my studies and then my job, and without any distractions, I moved swiftly along my career path. Some might find it hard to believe that I've reached the end of my 20s and I've never slept with anyone. The key thing is keeping your distance from any girl with relationship potential. It all went out of the window when I met Jen. When I started at Whitlock, I wasn't looking for a relationship. But Jen's so magnetic. Keeping my distance turned into walking into her classroom at every opportunity. I did display boards with her after school, ran a theatre trip, played five-a-side football. Okay, that didn't go too well, as she ended up in A&E. I was spending more and more time with her without even realising what I was doing. Even now, I could spend every day with her, and it still wouldn't be enough. I love talking to her, finding more about how she thinks. She makes me laugh with her dry one-liners and expressions. She's beautiful, so beautiful. I haven't watched many romantic films, but usually they end when the hero gets the girl. So my problem is, what next? By some strange combination of fluke and dodging bullets, I've managed to get this far. Jen is my girlfriend, but I haven't worked out how to live my life with Jen as more than just a feature in school, or even at a weekend social. We've gone out for dinner and a few dates, and now she's meeting my friends. I suppose I'll have to introduce her to my family at some point. Every aspect of developing your relationship opens up a gnawing pit of anxiety in my stomach. The advantage of bringing home a girl when you're 20 is that no one takes it seriously. Now that I'm nearly 30, my mother will probably start planning the wedding. I haven't mentioned the W word, of course. Best not to run before I can walk. I'm approaching this relationship much like my lessons. The key is having structure. Just as I never walk into a Year 10 group without a clear game plan, I have no intention of just hanging out with Jen. Like the unplanned lesson, it's sure to end in disaster. The problem is, I sense she's not happy about our clogged up calendar. She's complained about not having any time alone together. If I'm not careful, she'll get fed up, and then my only relationship will be over before it's really had a chance to begin. I need advice. I scroll through the contacts on my phone to find the only person I trust to discuss this sort of thing. I press the call button. Hi, Michael, Dan says. Hi, Dan. Are you still all right for us to come for lunch on Saturday? Yes, we're looking forward to it. Any dietary requirements? I think for a moment. Is Jen a vegetarian? No, I've seen her eat bacon. I don't think so. I pause. I wanted to ask your advice. Oh? Dan gives a laugh. Not sure I've got any, but go ahead. When you were going out with Louise, what kind of dates did you have? Or did you hang out, not doing anything special? I can hear confusion in his tone. Well, we did go on dates, out for meals, to the cinema, but I suppose we spent a lot of time talking together too. Why'd you ask? It's just, I sigh. I'm not sure I'm getting it right, with Jen. Have you asked her about how she would like to spend time with you? That sounds painfully direct. No, not really. I'm glad he can't see me because I can feel my cheeks flush. You need to find out what her expectations are, Dan says, and then you can figure out together how to plan your time. Expectations, I repeat. What kind of expectations? Well, presumably she has had boyfriends before. A twist of jealousy gives me physical pain for a moment. Yes, she's told me that. There may be things that she did with her previous boyfriends that she's expecting you to do. Jen hasn't told me much about said boyfriends. I haven't asked either. I thought it was better that way. Now all I can think about is the foggy question mark in my head surrounding Jen's potential sexual history. So many complications. Dan, I begin. Do you remember me telling you about the Canadian chastity advocates? He laughs again. Yes, I do remember. Well, it leaves me in a rather strange position. There are a few moments of silence. Did you sign up? He asks. He sounds incredulous. Yes, I reply. I thought it sounded very sensible. It's really not as crazy as it sounds. A bunch of Canadian students ran a lively presentation in an extended assembly about chastity. They explained that waiting to have sex until you were married was the best way to protect yourself from STIs and heartbreak. They had a vow they encouraged people to take, and they sold rings too. I grew up going to church, so it chimed with what I'd already been taught. I signed up quite happily. After all, no girl was making herself available for me anyway. I didn't realise that would still be true over a decade later. Thing is, I continue, I've kept that vow, possibly because I haven't met any woman who wanted to have sex with me. Well, maybe a few drunk women, but I didn't want to do it with any of them. This is all coming out wrong. Anyway, my dad's a church warden and always said I should wait to get married first. Over time, I think it's become more important to me. Like, the longer I've kept it, the more I don't feel right about breaking it now. Is that stupid? Irrational? OCD? Dan sighs. It's not stupid, Michael. Admittedly rare these days, but not stupid. I feel a small sense of consolation. Dan doesn't think I'm stupid. Louise and I, we're Christians, so we decided we wanted to wait until we were married. That's why I had to convince my parents to let us get married when we graduated. I remembered their wedding, and also vaguely that Dan had to work his legal powers of persuasion so that his parents didn't disinherit him. But it's likely that Jen is coming from a different place to you, he continues. You need to be honest with her about how you feel, otherwise she's just going to feel confused. Yeah, that sounds about right. So I need to talk to her and tell her about the vow. Yes. It sounds so simple, but I'd rather cover a whole day of PE lessons than have that conversation.